it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. I'm so glad you could join me here today. I have a little project share with tips and tricks for you. This is for the latest challenge at the Frilly and Funky Challenge blog, which is sponsored by the Funky Junkie Boutique. And the challenge theme is Pass the Tissues, Please. And we are to use tissue paper or rice paper to make a project. So I use Stamperia Lilac papers along with their flower alphabet to make this little tissue wrapped folio. This measures 5 by 7, and I'm just going to give you a few little tips for creating the folio base. This is 18-point grocery bag cardstock that I get from envelopes.com. It's a almost chipboard thickness, but a little more flexible, so it's very durable. And what I did was I just opened my big tissue sheet out. It was a Finnabair Musica tissue paper that you can get at the Funky Junkie Boutique. And I lay my project face down on the tissue paper and then just wrapped around it. I attached it with Ranger Distress Collage Medium, and I like using that because it's a little bit drier. Tissue paper, when it gets wet, is very, very delicate. So you want to kind of handle it with care. So I brushed the medium onto the cardstock, lay it face down on the tissue paper, and then I used this little brayer, which you can get at the Funky Junkie, to just roll over the surface, and this caused it to adhere. Then I also added the Distress Collage Medium to the front side. So you want to do both layers. Then I trimmed the corners out and just wrapped the inside with the same tissue paper. And this way you've got a completely covered cardstock base. And then I cut out some beautiful rice papers from Stamperia. This is from their, I want to say it's from their Lilac collection, and just put little bits and pieces around. I stenciled on a Stamperia stencil with Ranger Distress Oxides, and then with their opaque crackle texture paste. This is one of the new Tim Holtz lace baseboard frames, and I'm really loving these. These are so beautiful, and I don't know if the camera picks it up, but there are actually little indentations, like embossed areas on the frame. So first I colored it with my Distress Oxide inks, then I spritzed it with some mica spray, sealed it with a clear gesso, which I also sealed the tissue paper with clear gesso. I forgot that part. And then I just decoupaged on some little bits and pieces of the rice paper. Antique lace from my stash along with vintage buttons. I used Heartfelt Creations lilac stamps and dies to make these delicate little lilac blossoms and the leaves. And the ribbon is from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and I've just wrapped it around with 1/2-inch score tape. And here's a little placard on the back where you can add information. If I had it to do over again, I would have scored 1/2-inch spines, but you know, these projects tend to unfold as you go. So this was a big long piece. This was a 12 by 19 that I trimmed down to 7 inches high. And I basically scored out 5-inch panels with 1/4-inch spines in between. And that left me with this little flap piece on the side. I just extended this by adding a piece of the designer paper from the Lilac collection. And then I took a little paper bag that I had in my stash, decorated it up with a little die cut spool and vintage buttons and vintage thread, a little lilac blossom, one of these Tim Holtz tags, and then I created a little button card and cut these tags. I believe these are from the Flower Alphabet collection. And these just tuck into the pocket. I love adding little treasures to small pockets. It's just one of my favorite things to do. So this flips. I left a torn edge. I just liked the way that looked. And then over here, another cut apart image with some more lace and then just some more torn layers. This pocket is made just by cutting your paper an extra inch longer and folding it up. I added the lace and the buttons. I just thought this was so beautiful I didn't want to cover it. But then I took the rest of my rice paper, and I wish you could smell this. It smells like summertime. This is a little sachet that I stitched together with paper, and has real lavender blossoms inside. The little charms are from the Funky Junkie, so that tucks in that pocket. Over here on this page, here you can see the background of the tissue paper, and I just love how vintage that looks. I created a simple pocket by gluing 3 sides down, adding some fussy cut tuck spot. These are Chit Chat stickers, and I never get the name right, but they're Tim Holtz, and I will link them. And then created a little cut out a little postcard to sit inside the tuck spot. And this is really meant to be just a lookbook. Then I cut out tags, simply added little vintage buttons, and these tuck into the pocket. They're so beautiful. You don't really have to do much beyond that. This flips open, and then we have a little, oops, let me put this back in here so I don't lose it. There we go. Another little shallow pocket, just like the first one, and I found a little tiny envelope, and I turned this into a little tea bag / gift card wallet, and just tucked that in there. More lace, more buttons. And then this is a cut apart element that I turned into a pocket, and in here I stitched up a little bookmark with a tassel and one of my little tiny metal spoons that I adore, a bit of chocolate treat, and a honey stick. So this makes a wonderful gift. This would be so beautiful for Mother's Day or birthdays or Easter hostess gifts, and then it all just folds up very nicely. And the cool thing is, if you wanted to set this out for display, it will open and stand on its own. So you could add this to an Easter table or a mantelpiece, or just keep it as a lookbook. But that is my project. Thank you for joining me. I'll put a link to my blog post below where you can see more detailed photos and tips and tricks. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you along for the journey. You can just click subscribe. And now I'm going to go get my craft on.